towards this computer, and then we'll let everybody in.
Cool.
All right, so everybody's coming in. I'm just going to punch go live on Facebook. There we go. Remove that. Live video should be starting. There we go. Live video starting. And we've got a few people joined in here. Say hi. We've got Sukumar, Vanessa,
Hi.
Craig. Uh, let's hang on a bit. So, guys, welcome. We are live with Ryan today from Growthable. I'll give you a great introduction in a second, Ryan. But if you're watching this, we're just going live on Facebook. You should see the Zoom link in the comments or in the description on there. So if you want to jump in and join us live, awesome. If not, give us a little like or say hello or something in the comments. That would be great just to let us know that you are watching. And you can always leave a comment on the Facebook page if you have any questions at any point in time. So today, Ryan, welcome, mate. We haven't chatted for a little while. Always in the DMs, it seems. But got Ryan from Growthable today. So Ryan runs Growthable. You may have heard of Growthable or you may not have. If you haven't, then you should. So Ryan and Growthable operate a white label support for high level, which is awesome. So that you can put those guys in place to answer, have live 24/7 support, white labeled support docs, Zoom, onboarding. What am I missing there? I mean, that's what you guys do.
The
Um,
main, yeah, it's the main two sort of features, I suppose.
Yeah, as well as just being generally awesome that you can hand over support to your clients and you don't have to be on call all the time. And yeah, they can go to a live chat and keep your white label in place. And Ryan's been doing a lot lately with the new AI and working closely with High Level. You've been running multiple sessions with them and training agencies for High Level, running sessions, right? And
Yes,
you,
that's right.
you just said you did one at 3 a.m. this morning. So thanks for turning up now.
We just finished one with Chase, which was really cool because it's always good to get his view of where he sees the product, because you've got him who's the director of all product, and then you've got, the individual product managers, and then you've got sometimes, and even some cases, you've got like sub products, and you've got product managers of that as well. So it's multi-layered in the high level team. But Fur Patel, who you're probably familiar with, or you should at least be familiar with by now, who's very much kind of I suppose he's not calling himself the product manager for whatever reason, but he seems to be the main kind of guy driving at least the community aspect of it, which is, we've seen this a few times before with MVP style rollouts with high level where they're treating it like they really want it to be customer first, right? So roll out something that works enough, get as much feedback as possible, and then, iterate over and over again. Geez, there's a lot of note takers in this. In this
Yeah, I hope all these people are going to be watching this later.
yeah, yeah. So, yeah. So, it looks like I'll be quoted on saying everything I say here. So, oh, we've got Dooley in. Like, look at that.
Really in
So
the
yeah,
house.
I mean, so there's a huge push, right? And I guess for me, hey Michael, how you doing, man? Um, for me, thinking about it in terms of where I've sat, I haven't been able to, because of the position that I'm in, really get involved in all the cool toys, cool soda stream, Dooley. And so, yeah, like all the cool toys, all the agencies are getting. I know that there's been third party solutions for conversational booking and voice for quite some time. And you've sort of been sitting back waiting for high level to have their crack at it. And I think they're doing a very, 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 very good job. I'm saying that with all honesty and sort of trying to remove my biases as much as possible because I know that there's amazing third party products out there, like truly amazing. Um, One that comes to mind is Assistable. If you haven't tried that, you should because it's awesome. Closebot, et cetera, et cetera. I haven't got any firsthand experience with them, so I won't comment on those. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think it's a great um, new kind of suite, right? Um, and it's like six things, right? So we're talking about Gully's joining us from Dubai, I believe. Hey, Gully. And so we've got six things, right? We've got, there's reputation management via AI. We've got conversational AI, which is still the text-based conversations in bed booking, um, making appointments, qualifying information via conversational text channels, right? And then you've got now voice, right? Specifically voice on the inbound. Someone needs to be muted. I don't know who that is.
Oh, no, that's someone outside my house, mate. Sorry, I was
Oh,
just
okay.
walking.
No.
I've got tradies going up and down the side of the house.
You getting another pull?
Fixing a leak in the pool, mate. It's a whole other story.
We've got voice, then you've got workflow suggestive AI, which is kind of, bit of a utility at the moment. But I think that if you look at the five things, I think the most important, right, are voice and conversational and reputation, right? To a small business, those three things are massive. And the way that I sort of think about, voice right now, if it's inbound only, everybody asks about outbound. They're gonna not really, I would say don't expect them to push a huge kind of outbound solution. I think it's going to be very measured against like what's happening in the macro sort of environment around regulations and legality and that type of stuff. So, and the use cases, aren't as strong as far as, you know, from what I'm hearing from Chase and Fur, but also I'm sure Sean would say the same thing, but also me, my opinion as well, if it's worth anything to anybody, I think that the inbound um, motion is the stronger use case. But anyway, so like virtual receptionists and triage people and people
Yeah,
taking orders
absolutely.
and those types of things is the definitely the better use cases, right? So I wanted to use this session to first of all kind of maybe just run through like how I would explain AI opportunity if it was a client that I was pitching to. So I just could have came up with um, like a top 10 sort of slide deck that I would run through. So I'll go through that in a second, but also I want to make it interactive as possible, right? So I can see there's a few familiar faces here. Dooley's always got something good to say. Gully's in bed, so not sure, but Craig, Vanessa, etc. If you want to jump in and ask questions, whether you're brand new to this sort of stuff or if you're sort of more in the spectrum of where Dooley's at, I'd love to hear your feedback and your thoughts around where the product's at. The reason that I'm so involved, right, is I guess there's definitely a need at the sub account level to have this rolled out, and there's only so many people that work at high level, and so they've sort of realized that there's a huge amount of white label support out there, and I don't mean the number of companies. There's only about four that I think were invited to participate. Maybe there's five or six in the whole world, but we're one of those companies. And they're realizing that they can lean on community support partners that are doing white label support to help these features get rolled out and adopted by, I guess, the people that are running the support operations in the background, right? And so that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to provide as much education and support as possible. Growthable is doing, we're setting up a separate team. And it's the same people, but it's a separate team of people, I guess, with a certain skill set to be able to onboard and deploy both reputation by AI, conversational AI, and voice AI inside high-level sub-accounts like any other onboarding session. So you can go to a client and say, we'd like to deploy, advanced missed call text back, which is, voice AI, for instance, right? Whatever, right? Can we roll that out? Yep, cool. So then we would talk to a customer, get the information, write the prompts or use, one of our prompts, enhance the prompt, test it, and go live with it, right, on the same call. We'll do that for reputation, responding to positive, negative reviews, disputing fraudulent ones, and we would help them through snapshots set up conversational appointment booking or qualification. And it's like, what else do you need, right? Like out of all three of those things combined, like as a small business, you've got the ability to, run ads and respond to them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, qualify them using conversational booking. You've got a 24/7 receptionist or any other staff member that can be answering the phones, directing traffic, transferring calls, activating workflows based on what they've heard, updating customer profiles. And then just as a bonus, if you're asking people for reviews, or reviews are part of your system, which they should be if you're any business, right, that matters or wants to be relevant, then having, any positive or negative, I guess, like review responded to is crucial, right? So any questions towards me before I jump into sort of my little slide deck here? This is just a more of a brainstormy type slide deck, but tries to sort of provoke how you might hold conversations or sales presentations or demos, or however your business does client acquisition, right? I can see a future where you do no sales calls, right? Where you would run an ad which talks about conversationally appointments being booked and custom fields. Yeah, they're saying Q1, so they run on calendar year, Gully. Q1 2025 will be voice enhanced prompting and that sort of stuff. But yeah, so we were talking just before on the same webinar, we were talking about how we see different avenues for client acquisition, and a beautiful client acquisition process would be running an ad which talks about not needing appointment setters, closers, or whatever you want to call it, like an SDR type person who follows up with and sets appointments with new leads. Having that appointment turn up to your business that was conversationally set is like the most powerful demonstration you could ever do, right? Because you're turning up to someone saying like, hey, Dooley, how you going? You're here because you spoke to Sue, right? And they're like, yeah, that Sue's great, right? And you're like, cool, that was one of our AI bots, right? So it works. You didn't know any different. You conversed with it. You gave it the answers it needed, and it moved to an appointment. And here we are having a conversation, which is going to turn into revenue, right? So what more could you want as a business, right? And so, that type of, I guess like immediate proof and validation and gratification that you can provide end users, then doing like a real life demo, I think it's like one of the easiest sells, right, going around. So I'll share my screen because I like to sort of maybe just talk through a couple of slides just to guide, me talking rather than just looking at my face. So let me just open that up. And this Canva template here, I've written in a way that if anybody wants a hold of it, you can take a copy of it. We're going to be writing we want to have like maybe 10 variations on this presentation. So if you want, you can access these presentations. Growthable's got a community now. We're focused on AI as like the next, hot topic for the next few quarters, mostly because of the I suppose like the amount of innovation that's going into that product line at the moment from High Level's point of view. So it's important to get more people using it and increases the feedback, right? But
Sorry, Ryan, can you give me the links to these and I can share them in this post after the fact? So
no worries.
Yeah, so if anyone's watching this somewhere, wherever you're looking at this, we'll have the links in the description or the comments or wherever if you're watching this.
Yeah, so we've already got a snapshot, which is, a couple of I guess call it like standard bots, right? As part of conversational. Voice cannot be deployed via snapshot yet, so it's a hard-coded piece of the prompt is kind of hard-coded, right? As you may or may not be familiar with some of the limitations. But then we've got decks. We've got sort of this included in the snapshot. Not only is it the bots, but it's some of the stuff that came from Billy Jean's session, which he did at the beginning of when he did it, the beginning of November, I want to say. So he did some really cool stuff, and we took his snapshot and we've sort of made it, enhanced it. So your sort of path to market is hopefully reduced by huge amounts. And then if you want, if you enter the code Growthable AI, all lowercase, where you've got the option to enter into the season of AI, this is in your agency dashboard when you're enabling it, you'll get access to onboarding, right? So we will be able to provide onboarding for AI, right? There's a caveat to that, which means that the sub account needs to be on the $97 unlimited payment method. Otherwise, you might already be a customer of Growthable. There's a few people on this call that are, but if you're not, then you would either buy onboarding on its own or you would subscribe to Growth, right? But if you enter that code, you don't need to be a pre-existing customer of Growthable. We will provide all those resources to you and provide onboarding for that one thing, right? So we won't onboard the entire sub account. We'll just onboard the AI elements of the sub account for you. And all you need to do is put that code in.
But even if they're not a client of Growthable,
Yeah.
use that code, sign up to where do you sign up for that? Do you want to just share that quickly? Just show that to people.
Yeah.
'Cause
So
I didn't know that, man. So that's pretty cool. So if you are watching this and then you sign up to the season of AI, which I know is in your dashboard, but if you just want to share it and show that quickly, man.
yeah,
Sorry, if you didn't have that ready.
green to this season of AI section here.
Yep.
And I've broken it by opting into something already. But if you scrolled sort of further down, there's a box that you key in a code. It's asking for a code.
Yep.
And that code is Growthable AI, all one word, all lowercase. Case sensitive for some reason. I don't know why.
And even if you're not a client of Growthable, you guys will onboard
Yes.
the AI assistant options.
There is
That's
one condition. Yeah. They have to be on the unlimited. It can't be pay per use, right? Basically, our partnership with High Level means that we are getting compensated for working with those sub accounts. So we're taking a risk, but we hope to enable client sub accounts or agency sub accounts to use it for as long as possible, right? So
they must be on the $97 plan for the AI assistant.
They must be deployed on the unlimited, but it doesn't mean that the agency's charging the client 97, that the agency can be charging the client any amount above 97. 97 is the minimum, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's that, right? So there's voice, conversation, reviews, funnel, content, and workflow AI, right? So this is kind of, I would class this as almost kind of useless at the moment. Workflow AI assistant content, we've seen it before. That's just kind of weaved sort of throughout the system now, like when you're doing social media posting and that type of thing. Funnels is getting better, but even Chase says that it's kind of like pretty basic right now. So it's these top three that really, I think, is the most impactful for adding value to your agency and in driving more value out of your customer relationships for sure.
Yep. So voice, conversation, and the reviews, which, like you say, every business should have those running, right? Or at least some of them.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, and again, like there's ways to frame this and think about it as well, right? So let me get into it. So, all right. So can you see my Canva pitch deck?
I can.
Awesome. All right. So I'm just going to flick through here. So, think about businesses with different departments, right? And what a CRM kind of has traditionally enabled. It's like contact relationship management or customer relationship management. But you've got marketing, you've got sales, you've got service, and then you could have a whole host of other things. What I'm really looking forward to is how this ties into things like custom objects in the future, but I don't want to overcomplicate this presentation by talking about it. But that integration into custom objects will be a big reason to use High Level's native functionality in the future, I believe, versus like a third party, something like that, because of how tightly it can be integrated into other line of business applications like objects. Anyway, so let's do a role play, right? Gary, I'm going to be pitched to you as if you were a small business. I don't know, let's make you a med spa, okay?
Sure, mate. I wonder where you're going when we're going to role play there. I was like, oh, all right. I was ready for that. Sure, mate. Let's go.
Unless you want to get involved in this threesome. So look, we've got Gary, who's the main clinician at the med spa. Carlos works on the front desk, right? And he's the one that is really sort of triaging, I guess, like the appointments. Gary, your time is money, so you need to be in session, right? So if you're doing Botox or some sort of other med spa related service, One, they're expensive, which is amazing because I want to be working with people that have expensive things to sell. Two, I want to be working with people that unit economics suggests that there's recurring revenue or lifetime value to be gained from my customers. Botox is perfect because you don't get Botox once, you have to get it basically for the rest of your life, and it costs a ton of money. So Botox clinics want to get people in the door as fast as possible, but they don't want to use someone who costs $600 an hour to get that person in the door, right? So the surgeon or whatever that's signing off on administering the doses isn't the one injecting your face. So you've got three levels of sort of seniority in that business. You've got the person whose time is like so valuable, like a law firm or something like that, where they always have to be utilized in order to be making revenue. So their time is literally money. Someone in the middle who's like a practitioner who can actually deliver the service. And you can have many sort of multiples of that. And then you've got someone who triages who gets to see who, when are they available, and all that good stuff, right? So there's three roles here, right, in that business without even really unpacking what a med spa business potentially looks like, right? So Gary, like, let's talk about how AI, right, could be helping the med spa business like today, right? And so first thing is, what the hell is AI, right? You see it all over the news, Elon Musk, this, that, and the other, blah, 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 right? What is it? Is it even real? It's so hypey that we don't know as small business owners as what's real and what's not. So, it's my job, Gary and Carlos, to try and give you some education, right? Because we are working with small businesses day in, day out, bringing AI to like the front lines. This is small business. This is the backbone of the economy. Small businesses don't need six-figure budgets to access super advanced computational generative AI anymore. It's not the case. I'm here to tell you that. I'm bringing you that news. Okay. It's real. It's happening. People are using it now, right? Whether it's the guy who cleans the bins driving around in his van, or if it's you in your med spa and your Botox clinics, your national chain of them across the country, or, it could be a B2B, 7 or 8 figure business, software, sales teams, everybody's using this because it really does drive massive efficiencies in augmenting what is, predominantly manual and human led. So, the hype is where it needs to be, I think, right? Because it is actually a thing and it is actually making massive inroads into businesses, and driving like huge savings. My job is to try to get you to avoid where you land. Like, if you're someone that evaluates or sits back and watches or whatever, like you're going to be in one of maybe 4 categories, right? You're either an early adopter, you're a late majority, you're a laggard, right? Or, you're somewhere in between, right? We don't know where you are, but we want to avoid you, going in too early and having something that's not robust enough. We don't want you to give up on the implementation to say like, it's not accurate enough. Like there are iterative works that require, some testing. So you're going to have to, just like a human being, like Gary, if I was to bring you into the clinic and say, how long would it take to ramp you as an employee knowing nothing to being able to answer the phones without any guidance, right? Like it would probably take a week. I don't know, maybe longer, right?
Yeah, talking about training up
But
a new staff member.
exactly, right.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Let's say it takes a week, but you still need someone sort of sitting there course correcting, right? And like AI, these tools are no different, right? So you start with like the same as like if I had like an orientation, like you're getting someone in a room, they're getting killed by PowerPoint slides, they try to remember everything, they hit the phones, and then you're then saying that one was good, thumbs up, that one was bad, thumbs down. Here's my feedback, improve upon it. And then you get to the end of the week and you're like, that's enough feedback. I expect you to have it covered. See you later, right?
I
And
think that's a super important point for people to understand because I see that all the time with people with AI and stuff, and they expect, like, I've launched this bot and oh, it made a mistake. It's rubbish. AI
yeah,
does not work. It's like,
yeah,
hold on, exactly what you're saying. It's like you've just spent an hour writing the prompt for this, deploying it. It's run for a week. It's been 95%, accurate and good with most things. And yeah, it's got these few wrong. It's a bit incorrect. And I think what people don't understand or even take into account is the way that people communicate themselves, or clients communicate, and what AI has to interpret to get the answer correct. Because you'll know, Ryan, you get, well, I know you're not doing the support tickets yourself personally, but like you still see them, right, flowing through, you're reviewing and seeing how the team are replying. And how hard is it sometimes to reply to a support ticket from someone that says, I've got a problem, I clicked on the blue button and nothing works now.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
You would ask, can you please explain? As a human, you say, I don't really understand that. Can you please explain? Give me a bit more information. Could you send me a loom? Something to that effect, because you know there's not enough information there. But AI wants to give you an answer because that's what it's told to do. So it will give you an answer, but it might not really be correct because it doesn't have enough information, and people don't really understand the difference between like way a human can handle it and an AI, which is just told you are you're the answer everything bot or whatever it might be.
yeah,
So you have to allow for the ways that people communicate for a bot to be able to interpret it, and that's quite difficult.
yeah. It is. And when you're looking at like the whole kind of, you hire people because you want a return on the investment you make in the person. You wouldn't give up on that person if they couldn't get it right after 7 days or 5 days, right? Like you would continue to add more knowledge into the person. You would invest in their own training and education to empower them to be autonomous, right? And so it's exactly the same, right? Like
Yeah.
you are trying to do whatever you can. Now, so giving up too soon, like it's a huge deal, right? Now, like uh Growthable at my company, like we get like I would say like I want to say like so we don't do any marketing, right? But we get like tons of new inbound conversations per day, right? And like I was able to this is pre high levels AI, but like I used a third party. But like what was great about using a third party in this instance, right, was um, we've had like 10,000 sales calls, right? And they've all been recorded using like Fireflies or Fathom. There's like a million Fathoms on this call, right? So when you get the conversational AI, you can basically take the MP3s from those recordings, add them to the knowledge base, and go, cool, like if you were to train a new sales rep inside your organization, you would probably make them listen to 20 or 30 different sales calls that you ran over Zoom, right? And watch the interactions, right? So see how they answered that question. They answered that question with another question. They were actively listening here. They were talking about, answering this question in this way, blah, 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 blah. And I know most of the people on this Zoom, right, would have that data that they can instantly feed to one of those like agents, as we call them, right? An AI agent. It's like, here's the last 2 years of sales calls. And so you imagine like being able to give a real person instant access, like they were in the Matrix, 2 years
Mm.
of sales calls, and then they're like, cool, got it, know how to do it now. Right? Like you've ever seen that scene in the Matrix where he's like, I need to know how to fly a helicopter, and then he presses a button and it downloads
Yeah.
how to fly a helicopter. It's like it's that, right? Like how cool is that, right? So, you know, feeding it tons and tons of information. The training models are getting better and better all the time. So it can, like it can. I'm not in the AI world to that level. Like I'm not building AI applications, so I don't know the difference between GPT-4 whatever and the next one, right? But you know, we're looking at like the infrastructure of the generative stuff and the computational capabilities of it getting better and better week to week. You're looking at the systems at high level of um, building voice on, building the conversational stuff on, getting week to week, right? So we are literally now it's the worst it'll ever be, right? It's the dumbest it'll ever be. It's the worst it'll ever be. Tomorrow it's going to be 10 times better, right? You've got that combination of GPT getting better, nice, and you've got GPT getting better, and you've got the conversational AI getting better, and then you've got your own training models getting better week to week, right? And so, for me, it's incredible in terms of I look at it like it's like treat it like it was a real person, the same feedback loop, the same, you know, orientation, the same kind of training periods, the same iterative, feedback loops. It's all there. It's just that once they're actually moving and autonomous, like it's a robot, right? It's great.
We just share what Mark just wrote in the comments then.
Yeah.
Because like that's like how good is that?
So Mark says he got 20K, literally got 20K from a client uploading their sales calls into an LLM and just prompting the output. Yeah, I love that.
How good is that? But that's exactly it. It's like training. So you can do that instantly and just do that for a company. Say, hey, yeah, look, we'll do this, and then we'll train a bot straight from all your sales calls, and we'll train a prompt for that.
Yeah.
Like
Like,
amazing. And I dare say, Mark, that well, not that I'd say that the time taken for that would have been a fairly good return for doing that work. Obviously, putting the work to get those kind of jobs, but yeah, that's pretty good.
the way that I think about this, right? And let me just go back to sharing, right? Because I always like to try to talk about, what this looks like in real life, right? And I'm going back to screen two, but I don't know if that's the right screen. No, let me go back. Screen one. So I was thinking about this yesterday, right? Like I was feeling pretty crap yesterday. I just was not feeling super happy yesterday, right? And I've got a regular counselor that I see when I need to, and that's my mental health journey, and it's all better for it. No worries, right? But like a mental health professional, has subject matter expertise, i.e., a bank of knowledge from their own degree and research and stuff, right? And they read, all the psychological textbooks and whatnot, right? And then they're taking the information that you're providing, which is their inputs, adding context, which is, who I am, Ryan, and how I'm feeling today, and conversations we've had in the past, and providing an answer, right? And so, like, do you not think like that there's going to be a huge wave of like AI startups where, essentially, I can just press a button and call an AI and just have a conversation when I'm feeling like someone to talk to, right? Like, because I could have them read all Freudian literature and spit out some really cool advice to give me, right? And if I maintain a relationship with the AI, they can be fed feedback on whether I thought it was a good answer or a bad answer, right? And it has extra context from my personal life and what I'm feeding it about me and my background to be able to give me the right information based on the background and the context, right? And so, like, the sales bot is exactly the same. Just you're using it for sales, you're not using it for mental health, right? Like, it's exactly the same, right? Give it as much context and give it as much subject matter expertise, and then just iteratively improve over time, So, yeah, don't wait too late. Don't hang on too long. Get it in. Small wins, right? And we spoke about this morning, right? Like, missed call text back is, I think that A2P kind of decimated what was like the golden opportunity behind missed call text back, and no one knows about the decimation of A2P more than the two people sitting on here from my CRM sim. But like, let's just remove that as an obstacle for a second, right? Missed call text back was going from, if you're a business that needs to answer inbound phone calls and respond fast, missed call text back was the first sort of digitization and automation of not being able to answer your phone, right? I mean, I would say this, going just beyond a voicemail, right? So voicemail is step one, missed call text back step two. And now you can say to a customer, it's like, okay, with missed call text back, we've iterated upon our missed call text back functionality, and that we can have someone just pick up the phone. So rather than it just deflect and say, sorry, I'm not here right now, can you leave your name and number and I'll get back to you? Just have your agent pick up the phone. Hey, it's Gary from Botox Clinics R Us, right? I'm an AI receptionist. Can you just, there's nobody available right now, but I can help you, what we're looking for, right? And like, you can either.
A quick question there, Ryan, just while you said that, you said, it's Gary, I'm an AI receptionist. Do you recommend saying I am an AI receptionist, or trying to kind of pass these things off at the moment and not even mentioning it and letting people just run through and talk to, the
I
receptionist.
would, I would prompt it so that it doesn't make the person feel uncomfortable by explicitly stating it from the get-go. I would let the conversation unfold and prompt it like as much. And I haven't run too many experiments with this, right? But I would prompt it to say, if they start to think or start to say things like, are you an AI? Is this a real person? Then, just be honest, right? Like, no, I'm not. You could call it like an automated voicemail or a AI voicemail, or come up with a term that isn't confrontational, right?
Mm.
Like, you're not a robot. That people are probably scared of that. But you know, the proof of this working will be when the clients actually roll it out and how do I say this? Pleasantly surprised by the amount of usage. Right now, I was just on a call yesterday with someone who was in health clinics, right? So that's kind of why I use that as an example, right? And they were saying like they've had these IVR systems in health clinics forever, right? And it's that multi-channel switchboard journey that they're forcing people to go down. And we've all been there when we call like the government or whoever, right? And she was saying that she's part of software companies that go and implement those like old school PABXs and all that sort of stuff. And they have like crazy statistics about the amount of hangups and redials on IVR systems, right? Because it's like press 1 for sales, press 2 for service, press 3 for a human. And people don't have the patience to wait to hear about the human. They just start mashing the buttons, hang
Yeah,
up,
that's
redial.
me.
Yeah, right. Like, so, it's, do you think that experience is worse than finding out that the robot voice that's trying to help you wasn't a real person, even though it has so much utility and actually gets you where you need to be? Like, it works, right? It's going to be able to take the information and direct you to where you need to go. That's what you wanted, right? So I feel like that correlation with user behavior, where, I'll admit when ChatGPT first came out and someone sent me a link saying, have you tried it yet? I was like scoffing, going like, I'm not going to use this. Like, what am I going to use it for? Right. And, someone sending it to me, because I'm in all the tech groups because I'm a nerd, right? And so all my tech friends going like, you got to see it, you got to see it, right? And I'm like, yeah, right. And I'm usually like Mr. Early Adopter. But now it's like, seriously, like I don't go to Google anywhere near as much as I used to. Like, it has become so useful to me that I use it so much throughout the day. This is just ChatGPT. It's like having an extra person, right? And so calling this employee AI for me is so apt, right? Because you are building little virtual roles that are performed autonomously inside the business, right? They just happen to be customer facing. And so, I love it. Like, I love the whole concept. I think that the trends of people using this technology proves that it's not going to be something that's resisted. It's going to be something that's welcomed and adopted, right?
Yeah,
Um,
I think so, and I think it fits exactly in there what you're saying there, adopting too early, adopting too late, because you're going to get those people who will just hang up because they hear that robotic kind of voice and they know it's a thing, and they'll just be like, I want to speak to a human, don't want to speak, don't want to speak to a bot. But over time, that is going to become the norm, and I think for people that wait too late, then they're going to be behind the eight ball because they haven't got that system in place and they haven't had like as you were saying earlier, right? You can take a bot now, you can train it on 2 years worth of calls, and it will start out and it will be amazing out the gate, but it will still need adopting, it'll still
yeah,
need training, right? But if you put one in today and train it on 2 years worth of sales calls, and then you've got a year's worth of it learning and you've prompted it for a year, and in a year's time, who knows, it might be 6 months, it might be a year, it might be 2 years' time, I don't know. When this is like seriously mainstream, you are so far ahead of the people that didn't adopt it. They go, oh, no, because people don't like it. They don't want to talk to a bot. They get annoyed with a bot, you know?
yeah,
So yeah, I'm still in the camp of like, yeah, they are a bit annoying. Like I want to talk to him, but just getting more and more used to it, and the more it will just be adopted everywhere.
yeah. I honestly think that like from a consumer behavior trends sort of point of view, I think like the big equipment manufacturers like Windows, Microsoft, Apple, like they're all baking this stuff in on like physically on the devices,
Mm.
you know. Like this is going to be, every kind of motion, every digital kind of activity could have the opportunity for it to be augmented by AI in some way, right? And you just not know about it, right? And but it is now. It's. I feel like the generative stuff, that is whether it's voice, whether it's conversational booking, blah 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 blah. It's already mainstream, right? It is, right? Next few updates of iOS, next few updates of Android, Windows, etc. Like it's going to be baked in. Like this is the Siri that we wanted and never got. Apple will struggle because they shred all the data about you all the time, but Google stuff's going to be awesome. Anyway, so time wise, I just want to get through some of these slides, but I just want to pause because I know there's not a huge amount of people on here live, but I just want to throw it out there. Any raised hands, questions so far? Comments, even.
Yeah,
Doolies.
there's a few people here. There's a few people watching live as well on Facebook, mate. So if you are watching live on Facebook, if you've got any questions, pop them in the comments there. We're looking at those on another screen. We can always ask Ryan. But yeah, anyone who's got any comments wants to raise a hand or chuck something in the chat.
Is anyone not going to do this? And do they have like hardcore kind of reasons why? I mean, apart from they use a third party, right? Because if you're using a third party, then you're already on the train, right? And I know that there's a few people on this that do
Yeah,
use third.
so my view is the third party at the moment is a year ahead of high level. That's all.
Yeah. And I know you personally, and I know what you got going on too, Mark. So I
No,
agree with
no.
you.
So, and I love the skateboard, and it's good, but for other things, I think for voice, the high level is going to be a little bit away for being able to really change the game at a customer service level. Appointment booking and reception, I think it'll be fine. But it when you actually really want to get into the grassroots of what a PABX used to do with Eliza back in the day, yeah? Remember that? Hi, Eliza, how are you? Oh, go away. But
Yeah,
until it can actually update a custom value or a custom field and trigger something, it's always going to be behind.
yeah. Well, it can do both of those things. So I don't know where you're up to, Mark, but I could talk about some of those things. So how about I switch gears? We've got I think we're set for 11:30 a.m. Gary, is that right?
Yeah, so we've got 15 minutes or so. We start
Yeah.
a couple of minutes late, but yeah, got 15 minutes.
All right, so let's have a look at just voice, for instance, right? Because voice always takes the airtime, but I'm happy to, because voice is sort of the newer, more compelling part of it because voice is why is it more compelling? I guess because of when I look at voice and I look at third party versus what they're doing natively, I feel like that they will be probably a better choice if you are really baked into native GHL, right? If you are kind of a mashup of a lot of third party things, then it doesn't really matter. You can just continue kind of plugging things in. But if you're someone who stays close to the metal with high level and like to use native versus third party, then voice is definitely going in an incredible direction. Let me just pull this up. Let's just bring up my own sub account here. Why is that not working? Oh yeah, there we go. Settings.
Find it amongst the many tabs, mate.
Yeah. All right. So can you see my agents here? This is my voice AI agents.
Yep.
Yep. So, it's pretty straightforward. You just create an agent and off you go. You start building it out, right? And, what this looks like, one that I've sort of created earlier, right? And so you create one, you assign like a default phone number, and then I can go edit. Just move all this Zoom stuff out of the way so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, so if for those of you who haven't seen this before, this is the voice AI agent, right? You've got conversational AI below, so it's not the same thing. They are split out into two separate things now. You've got the agent name, so this is like you're giving it personification, you're giving it a name. Like I've found that if you're Aussie, which is most of the people on this call, that Emily is the closest Australian sounding name. And if let me just see if I can get her name to come up, her sound to come up. 1 second. Share sound. Let's do Emily.
The scheduling tool is based on Microsoft Project Online and enables project and program teams to easily plan and monitor their projects.
So if you're an Australian, you'll quickly notice that some of the other voices that are have been said that they're Australian don't really sound Australian. So quick tip on that one. Emily's the best as far as female. I think there is a good male voice, but I can't remember where it is. The initial message. So this is exactly what you wanted to say when it picks up. They don't support custom values in either the prompt or this initial message yet. It is coming. But then you build the agent goals. And so this is the prompt, right? And so one of the biggest limitations right now is the character limit. So you've got 2,000 or left. Or less, I should say. Not a huge character limit for a prompt, right? We'd want to be able to give it way more information than that. The structure of it, this is a very short structure, right? So normally the template that comes with it is way more structured, talks about kind of, during the call, what you're going to do, this and that and the other. But I basically just did like a ChatGPT generated prompt on this example, just to see what would happen, right? Because I wanted to see the difference between like a AI generated prompt versus a prompt written by a human based on 11 Labs, which is the voice AI technology that High Level are currently using.
This was the example you did for the
yes,
car demo when you made the YouTube video on, wasn't it? Which I thought was amazing because going back to what we were saying, you did this in 15 minutes or something, or less. And I remember you putting that up, showing the video, and it wasn't perfect, and when you put it up, but it was perfectly good enough. And I remember commenting on your video and how amazing is that you could do this in 15 minutes. There is no way you're training a staff member to do this in 15 minutes. They wouldn't be anywhere near as good. So if you spent an hour on it, like how good can you get it? And it's what that time thing again.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I really like about this is, there's different types of people, right? Like some people are, the type of, they're very, I'm not this type of person, right? So they're like, very detail orientated, meticulous. They want to check, recheck, test, retest. I'm sort of like build it, throw it out into the world and get roasted by everyone, picking me up on my spelling mistakes and my terrible funnels and all my mistakes around my website and whatever. And I just fix things as I go. But what I like about prompting is that like you could be so exhaustive, right? Like, those people that want to like pick apart every possible scenario, if that's you, fantastic. You can put every possible scenario in the prompt and have total control over how someone handles a situation. I think that like we see, like this would be probably a good analogy to how good prompting is versus how good the AI is that prompting's like targeting for Facebook ad, right? We've all started writing these crazy prompts to try and get them really specific. But just like with Facebook ads, if you do any sort of advertising on Facebook, the targeting matters probably the least now because you don't need to target people because the AI is so good that it just needs to run your ad for like a couple of days and it can automatically just figure out who to serve it to. And I feel like that's the same way with the prompts. Like you're going to have to provide less and less information, let the AI react to the situations itself, and it'll be way more creative, way more human-like, all that sort of stuff as their models get more and more sophisticated.
There's little words in there, like if you tell in the prompting, say, you must, and then do whatever, it will always do that. But if you say, you should try to, then it gives it some flexibility and it can work around things. And yeah, if you are too strict with the prompts, like I've seen that, you're like, why is it always doing that? It's so annoying. And then
Yeah.
you realize in the prompt, say, oh, you must, and it's gone, oh, you must, and it takes that command. It's like, well, I
Yeah.
must do that. You go, oh, you should try to, or and give it some flexibility, and you can get better results by being more flexible.
So look, I've done nothing to this, and just to show you what it could potentially do, and Mark Gully to talk about what you brought up earlier, right? So it can update contact fields, but it'll only do email and first name whilst the call's in progress. The rest of the fields, like custom fields here, and I think you said specifically custom values. I don't know if you're interchanging the verbiage between values and fields. I'm talking specifically about fields, not values. Anyway, I digress. I'm updating email, make, model, odometer reading, and first name. It's important that you update first name and email. Otherwise, what's the contact record to update, right? So I give it an action, update the email, provided during the call. An example is like this email or whatever, right? Sean, whatever. So you give it examples of the type of information, odometer reading. I had this the other way around when I did this the other day. It's like an example might be 10,000 kilometers. Another example might be 8,000 miles, because I don't know if we're speaking to the metric system or imperial or whatever, right? And I thought, by the way, Dooley might have some cool input here, and whether or not he's done something crazy cool for quotes and things like that on, maybe the used car side of the businesses that he deals with. But anyway, feel free to jump in if you don't want to jump in with anything, Dooley. Don't worry. I can't see your face or anything, so I don't even know if you're still there. But
he's still there in the background.
He's
mate.
still there. So all these
he lost.
fields are updated. Is he still there?
Actually, no, it looks like he might have actually just dropped off. Sorry.
So it'll update those. And then what I really like is that at the end of the call, run a workflow. And you can do up to, 5 workflows or 20 workflows, I think it is. I think it's 20, right? Which is insane. Like you can actually start 20 different business processes at the completion of a call if you wanted to, right? And it can use the input that you got from the contact to drive how that workflow looks, right? Which is amazing. I love that.
Oh, quick question for you, Ryan, actually, because something I don't know at all. Is the voice AI, does it have like a sticky contact to it, like a form? Got sticky contacts for forms, so it knows and it puts the values in there. If I call back to this bot and I've already had the conversation and told it my odometer reading, my name, does it know that it's speaking to me again based off the number that's coming in? It won't ask me the same questions again, or?
I think it still asks you the same questions again, but it knows if the incoming call, like for instance, if I rang in from my phone, that it's always updating the same contact based on the phone number, because like I've the unique identifier for the contact can be either phone or email. So if there's no email, it knows the phone number, so it knows the contact. So yes, but I don't know that it doesn't go like there's no concept of it being a sticky contact, but it still says like, what's your name and email, right? Like it doesn't go, oh, I know who you are, right? It's a good question, because I don't even know how you would prompt it, right? Because I don't think there's a connection between the database necessarily and the call at the time that the call is being played. So now, so just going back on what I know, there's no memory, right? So it has no memory, which means, it won't know that you're the call.
I would hope that's something they're going to add in the future, because we got that with bots where, like, we do that and say, don't ask for these fields if they're already filled in, and it can cross-reference. But I'm sure that will all be coming at the end of the day. If it's not there now.
So there's guidelines here about the prompt as well. So you can go to the Lead Connector article here. It's massive, right? And so like it talks through all these prompts, right? Very, 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 very good, document. And then, like, what would you do, right? I'm not going to go and read all this. I'm going to go to my GPT, say, read this. And then next time I want to write a prompt, go, based on this document, write me a prompt that does this, this, and this, right? And then I think we'll get to the point where, when we have custom values, we'll be able to say to the customer of the agency, what's the tone, what's the writing style, what are the examples, blah, 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 and just have them fill that out. That gets generated into a prompt. That comes down as part of the snapshot and rollout. And like people are up and running in, minutes, right? Like I don't see this being a huge, huge undertaking in terms of the actual rollout and the implementation of these, right? And this is just voice. You can do the exact same thing here for conversational AI, for booking and, whatever else, right? I will say this, voice can't update, contact records during the call other than name and email. They are going to fix that. But, like once you've actually got to the end of the call, we are updating custom fields. So it's just technically on call complete. I'll do a quick call because, I've done nothing to this other than like I just stuck it in ChatGPT real quick, right? Like did literally nothing else. So let's just dial my phone. I put my phone number in Facebook Live. So I know I'm not that important, but we'll see how many phone calls I get. Hello.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey there. I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. How about you?
Yeah, doing good, doing good.
Glad to hear that. How can I assist you today?
Gary,
Are
can
you
you hear
looking
this?
to book a car?
Yep.
I think you might have the wrong person. To help with booking your car service at Bob's Mechanical. How can I assist you today?
Yeah, I do want to get my vehicle in for a service as soon as possible. That's why I rang.
Great. Let's get that sorted for you. Could I have your first name and email address, please?
First name is Ryan. My email address is roc27583@gmail.com. That's my personal email. Sorry.
No worries. Tell me the make and model of your vehicle, along with the odometer reading.
Yeah, so I have a Ford Focus, and my odometer readings just hit 111,342.
Got it. So a Ford Focus with an odometer reading of 111,342. I'll make sure to get your service booked promptly. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, that's all good. So you'll send me a text or something with like the time that I'm going to be booking it in, right?
Absolutely. We'll get back to you soon with the details of your booking. Thanks for reaching out.
So, it's had no training, zero, right? We haven't done any refinement. I think that it handled the call pretty, like if you had heard that for the first time, I think you would be like impressed enough to go, I can see the capability.
Yeah.
Right. With the data and the training. And then of course, now, beyond this demo, it's like I just got an email, right? I got my call recap, right? And let me pull that up because that is really cool to see. Just put that on the screen. I think I'm still sharing that screen. You can see the call recap.
Yep, that's come up.
Yeah. So, like it gives you the call recap via email. That also goes into the note of the contact. So I can do something with the note. And let's see if we can grab the contact record. Trying to navigate my way through my system without putting any horrible private information up. A second.
Like even just that as well, it grabs the summary and puts notes in the CRM. Like, well, getting admin people to do that, like everyone knows admin people really hate filling in that kind of detail, right? You know that they do. So just getting that from the calls all the time, every time. I mean, I hate doing it, but it's got to be done. So having that in your contact records is just invaluable. And having someone that you know is going to do that 24/7 and not miss a beat on it, it's awesome.
Yeah. Now it didn't work, but I don't know why. But we're obviously not here to do a troubleshoot. But this is this is a demo that I've run earlier, as you would expect. So I've got the email transcription, which is great. And then you would expect, in the vehicle details, I've got Ford, I've got Focus, and then I've got some sort of odometer reading. I don't know why I didn't update it. It would require further testing. But yeah, it's, we're talking about like how it knows who the user is. So, it probably needed to get it to spell the email address, because I make the assumption that it got my email address maybe wrong because I said it's too fast. So if you have them come back and confirm the email address and spell it out, then you're going to get way more accurate results and it'll update the information, right? But I guess the point is, right, like, let's just say that it did work and it has worked, right? No problem. It's great. With this information, like, I could do so many things, there would be so many businesses where there's someone required to qualify someone in or out of a process. And the only way to qualify them in or out of a process is by asking them questions. And, that's what I love about this, which is like, update the records based on their answers and then trigger a bunch of workflows. And we don't even need to know what the answers are. We just know that these workflows will run if the answers look like this, right?
Yeah.
So it's insanely powerful. So yeah, that's voice. And it's taken us over time. But the last thing was just around, like how the phones sort of work. You can set working hours and those types of things. I'm sure there's going to be use cases where this is relevant, but I think that like if you're a tow truck driver, you don't build a voice AI receptionist to then only work in business hours, right? So I'd be keen to hear from anybody who knows of a.
I guess there's cases for this where people have got a receptionist 9 to 5 and they've got human and they just want it on out of hours, stuff like that. It's basically your answering service.
Exactly. Yeah. So, there you go. So, right. So look, I guess, we're over time, so I'll conclude my presentation. I just wanted to throw it out there that, yeah, we're now trying to help agencies sort of get to market with this stuff. So you are interested in working with us, go to our website, get in contact with us somehow, and we'll work with you.
I just want to say, because I know people watching this, they're going to ask me, because we get asked all the time anyway, phone calls, can I run this with my CRM sim? The answer is going to be no, you can't run the phone calls through here with my CRM sim because you've got to use a lead connector number. But you can run a lead connector number and do phone calls with no problem at all and have my CRM sim doing the SMS in tandem, basically. They work hand in hand. So we've got documentation for all of that in our knowledge base, but that's something that we get asked all the time, basically, is about doing phone calls, which there is there's no API for phone calls into high level, and these all have to be done through a lead connector number, but just run them in tandem and that's no problem.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think like if you're charging appropriately, then it shouldn't make a huge difference to you just to get another number on LC or forward the existing number that they want it picked up on to an LC number and have it pick up. If it's doing what it needs to do and it's generating results, then you don't care about the $3 that you got charged at the end of the month for the phone call, right?
Yeah.
And you as the agency shouldn't be paying that $3 anyway. So.
Yeah, you got to explain this to clients too, because they go, "Oh, how much is that going to cost?" And it's going to cost. It's like they have to. You got to explain that to clients about it's not how much that costs; it's how much it saves. And like compared to having a staff member 24/7, this can do, pretty much the same job 24/7 without missing a beat. You can train it quicker. You don't have to worry about rehiring it. You can just keep retraining it and tweaking it. You don't worry about having Tim, Jane, whoever it is, working for you for 12 months and you've spent all that time training them, and then suddenly they leave and they take all that knowledge and all that time you've spent training them is all gone. It's like, no, you're just making this better all the time, every day, every week, whatever it might be, and they're staying there.
Yeah. I thought about this like, like I know real estate's a very oversaturated market, probably one of the first ones to become saturated by high-level gurus, but like if you think about real estate agents who work in sales, right? They go to the same kind of 3 or 4 houses on a Saturday, right? But then if you're in property management's interesting because it's unique, right? Like in that you have a 3-tiered relationship structure. You've got owner, investor, tenant, and then agent, right? And so you've got requests constantly coming in from tenants that they don't have an answer to anything. They just need to take the information, right? Like, what's wrong? Water's leaking. Okay. Are you flooded? Yes. Would you like us to send someone out tomorrow? Yes. Right. Like, you don't need a human being to do that. And I feel like real estate agents are terrible at rolling out any sort of, I mean, I haven't seen a good one yet. You know, portal where the tenant can literally just be like, you know, shower's leaking today, need someone to come and fix, right? Like, they just don't, if they do exist, like, particularly in Australia, like I haven't seen any good examples, right? But if I just had a number to dial, right? Yeah, any home service, exactly, right? Whereas a number to dial or text, and I literally can just text, the water's broken, and it can come back, you know, like, oh, sorry to hear that, Ryan. You know, tell me a little bit more about it. Oh, well, it was flooding. Oh, okay. You know, what else? What else? What else? Right. And so, you know, just airlines, yeah. I mean,
Well, any qualifying triage type stuff where you can do that, take those notes, and then send that through to the person that needs to actually manage the case through. Just saves a massive amount of time.
Yeah. And what I mean, like if I look at like, you know, if you look at the trends, if you look at like, you know, I know you guys know Bryce at Closebot, and he publicly sort of talks about his numbers, you know, and like the outcomes that he's seeing on his platform. If you believe his numbers, which, you know, I've got no reason not to, that what it alludes to is if there's tens of thousands of appointments being conversationally booked a month now, businesses are trusting it. Otherwise, you can't get those numbers, you know? So that's what I'm saying. Like it's already out there. It's already being trusted. You know, I don't want to see like this Australia being like the last country to adopt this technology. It's like, no, let's bring it in now. Like, let's do what the Americans are doing and bring it in, right? Like,
It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how that shifts over the next 12 months. And like I'm actually talking to Bryce and Laura at the moment about getting them to come in and do a thing on here, even though we have a bot that we give away. I love what those guys do. And I'm literally talking to them now and saying, hey, well, you should come over and we'll explain, you know, why people use Closebots. We've got a ton of our customers that use Closebot. But he did some stats. Oh, it was probably 3 months ago-ish, I'm going to say. And he showed, I can't remember the number, it's in our Facebook page somewhere, but it was 90 odd percent or so, I believe, that appointments were booked through SMS. And it will be really interesting to see how that changes over time. Maybe it wasn't 90%, it might not be that high, but it was the highest proportion out of the different mediums between like Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, SMS, can't remember what else was on there. It wouldn't be voice with Closebot anyway, I guess. But it'll be interesting to see what changes over time with that, and if people start to adopt more and get more used to talking to these bots and accepting that, well, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do that.
Like, and again, like one other like parallel that I make to that trend is what we see at Growthable, because we've deployed an AI bot for support, right? And I mean, every agency that has gotten one of those has not expected it to take any questions. They're like, oh yeah, we'll put that there, but you know, we're getting the humans to do most of it, right? And you're like, yeah, of course, right? That's what you're paying us for. But then when we go back after a few weeks of them deploying AI, like just hundreds and hundreds of conversations that have taken place, right? And so, yeah, like I think that there will be a level of acceptance that sometimes when you're calling a business, you know, it's gonna be common now where answering service sounds like a real person, and then you're like, oh yeah, this must be AI. Talk to it like you would, instead of mashing buttons on an IVR, stepping you through manually, you're just giving it prompts, you know, take me to service, take me to here, take me to there, right? And that's a better experience, right? So yeah.
Definitely. So we're pretty much at time, Ryan. I guess what's the top tip for agencies watching this going, all right, that was great. Where do I start? Like, where do I start and begin this journey to AI and selling it to my customers? What's the number one step they should take?
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you are doing any sort of speed to lead, then you need to be demonstrating, and you know, demonstrating it in a way that is super powerful, right? So when you can present examples of appointments that have been set, or outcomes that have been achieved to a customer using their own data, I mean, they've got nowhere to go, right? Like, this outperforms what we've currently got by a factor of this. Speed to lead is increased by this. ROI is this, right? Like, so when you're having conversations with people, if you want this to be part of your value stack, I think that speed to lead is the avenue that you would naturally kind of go down. But I think it opens up more conversation, right? Like, start with that, because not all agencies are doing lead gen, right? So if you're not in the lead gen space and you're more in like I don't know, if you're like a CRM or more in like B2B sales or something like that, then talking about, I guess, just starting small. What processes do you have now that require someone to be there? A human needs to be there. And could we take one or two examples and run a trial, right? Like, have this go, instead of all your Facebook, SMS, live chat, WhatsApp, whatever those incoming messages are, like, you can say to them, like, for the next week, let's turn this on. Let's see if it does a better job. And if it doesn't do a better job, we'll eat our own kind of dog food and, come back and adjust. But like, give it a chance, right? So yeah, I mean, I would almost go and steal some of like the way that Bryce at Closebot presents his numbers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, he's talking numbers, but he's also showing adoption, right? And so, I would be basically talking, one thing I'd be talking about would be speed to lead, for sure.
Perfect, mate. And then speed to lead, and then getting it set up. If I use Growthable.io, that code, whatever it was, we'll put the link. We'll put the code. I'll get you to DM me after this and the link and stuff, mate. So use Growthable. If you're already a client, amazing. You do it already. Even if you're not a client, go and sign up for the AI festive season. Use your code, then you'll onboard the AI for them anyway. They won't pay for it. It's free for them. You are getting some kind of remuneration from High Level for helping to onboard that stuff. So I think people should know that. We're not getting anything for that. We're just sharing that information so that, helps you guys, helps them, like, we just want to help the agencies and stuff that we've got in here as well anyway. So I think that's an awesome thing that you guys will do, and it can help them to get onboarded.
Yeah. I think that probably what I should have said was, between now and New Year's Eve, it is 100% free. So go and try it out, right? That is the first thing to do. Try it out in your own business, right? And that gives you the real world social proof to talk about when you're talking about it with your customers, right? Take one channel and augment it with, say, like a conversational bot, right? Like, only new inbound Facebooks for between now and New Year's Eve, and only, handle that first few questions, like, what's your name, right? And then, once they've received the name, then you can do human, handover, rollover, whatever, right? But like, small steps in your own business, results, and then go, all right. Because if you wouldn't use it yourself, you're never going to be able to sell it to an account, right? So.
Makes sense, mate. Perfect. Thank you so much, Ryan. Thank you for coming in. There's a couple people on live. If you're watching this later, check out the links. I don't know where we'll put them, in the comments, in the description. Check out Ryan. Go and have a chat to them at Growthable as well. Anyway, do awesome stuff. We use you guys with our white label. So thank you very much, mate. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Gary. Thanks. Carlos is already gone. So yeah, thanks very much.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, DM me on Facebook if you need me, or go to growthable.io and have a look.
Awesome. Thanks, mate. Have a good rest of your day.
You too. Bye.
See you, mate. Bye.